Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you two projects here today for you guys to make at home for that special someone in your life. Now this is all the materials that I'm going to be using for the both projects. The first material, the first project is going to be using these two materials here, as you can see. Um, as you can tell, this is a piece of scrapwood that I use. This is a piece of scrapwood that I have from the last project on my channel, so you can watch. Um, this project's going to be relatively easy, and I know you guys will probably be able to do it, as I tell you step by step on how to do it. Now the second project, it's going to be a bit more complicated, probably take me much longer, but I am very confident that I will have the second project finished right before Valentine's Day. So let's get to it then. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is all the materials that I'm going to be using for this first project. All you need is a piece of scrap wood and a piece of longboard. So not really much materials, and I'm going to be cutting out a heart shape out of these two pieces of scrap wood. You can get yourself a heart shape at the store. Just get yourself one of those heart shaped candies. Cut out uh, the heart shape and just trace it on the actual on your piece of wood. Today I cut myself a piece of heart shape here. It's about 6 inches, so in length, and about, I will say 4 inches in width. So I'm going to be tracing it out with my pencil and cut it out with my jigsaw. Unfortunately, my bandsaw is still out of commission. I haven't really bought the blade for it, so like I said, I'm going to be using my jigsaw. So here we go. Now, after cutting the hearts, I'm going to be measuring the width of the hearts, and I'm going to be cutting this long board, as you can see here, into the size that I need. So the width is going to be around 5 inches. So both of them will be 5 inches at least. So I'm going to be cutting this about 5 inches in width, and I'm going to need two of them so that way I can glue the two parts together and show you how it's going to look like. So here we go. Alright, I have every piece that I need for the first project. So basically how it's going to look like is that this is basically how it's going to turn out. I'm going to be drilling some holes here, maybe drilling some holes inside here. I don't know what kind of pattern, but basically the idea is to hold flowers onto it, so that way you can display it on the wall and show it to pretty much anyone who comes in. Um, mostly the flowers will probably be fake or Lego flowers if you get that from any big stores like Walmart or Target. So basically it's gonna look like something like this, has holes in it, and it's gonna just hold artificial flowers or Lego flowers, and you can just put it on the wall and display it, and everyone will probably be like, hey, what is that? How can I make one? And you can probably be the talk of the town. Now there's little bit more work to do. I'm probably gonna clean up the sides of these hearts because look, it literally looks like crap. So I'm gonna clean that up with the rasp, and then I'm gonna be drilling the holes here. I don't know how many holes actually, so I'm just probably thinking about probably just about 8 holes on each of these two. Then I'm gonna be glue. Then I'm gonna be routing these edges, so that way it won't be like this squaring. It just be round. So a lot more work to do, but overall it is a very simple and easy project to do. So yeah, let's do this. Alright, I'm here in my table saw, going to be clamping this heart here, right here at the fence. I don't have myself a vise for it, so I can clamp it properly. So I'm going to use my table saw and a fence and a clamp I have here. Then I'm going to be using this rasp, as you can see here. And I'm using the flat part here so I can just smooth out this and make it much more prettier. So let's do this. Alright, after roughly just roughing out the rough parts on the hearts with my rasp, now I'm going to do a bit of sanding for these edges. They're still rough, but I'm going to do probably an 80 grit hand sanding here. Then I'm going to be planing then I'm going to be also using my router, um, so I can round these edges out so it won't have this sharp edge. As you can see here, these sharp edges. Then after doing that, I'm going to be also routing out all the edges of this one. Then I'm going to be drilling about 10 holes here on this on the piece of board here, on the piece of wood here. So, but I'm also going to be cutting out. I've been doing a little bit of an angle cut here on the edge, so that way it won't have this piece here, as you can see, sticking out too much. So so it can look a little more pretty, and you know, can seemingly just be just probably look more prettier, you know. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to sand this part, route it, um, cut cut like at least a 45-degree angle, route it, and yeah, if we finish for this project, then I'll be moving on to my second project. So let's do this. Mm. Just looking at it, I think, I think I'll just leave this top right here. Just gonna sand it smoothly. Yeah, I think I like it like this. You know, this is not exactly what I had in mind, but hey, little mistakes can actually improve on something. I believe this could be improvement, but what do you guys think? You know, what do you guys think? How would you have done this better than I would? Um, I wanted like a round over edges on the heart, like as you can actually see, round over the edges. But but yeah, I think I like it this way. But what do you guys think? Comment down below on, would you keep this like as it is, or you will just probably clean it out or sand it out and start again. So, all right, I already routed these two box springs. Now I'm already here at my mini miter crosscut saw, whatever you call this thing here. I was gonna use table saw, but I don't think it would have been quite worth it. And honestly, I don't really need an actual perfect, clean 45-degree cut. So I'm gonna use this device here I got a long time ago, and just gonna use it with my gonna cut it these corners right here to a 45-degree angle by hand. So let's get to it. Alright, I'm already at the home stretch for the first project. I already drawn out the holes, drawn out the lines and where the hole is going to be. As you can see it here, I'm going to be using a 5/16 inch 5/16 drill bit here, and I'm just going to put on a piece of scrapwood so that way I don't have holes into this table. And gonna glue this. Then after drilling the holes, I'm gonna be gluing it together. Not gluing it together. I'm actually gonna sand the projects. Then I'm gonna glue them together. Then I'll be done with it for the first project. Then I'll be moving on to the second part. So let's do this. Alright, I have everything sanded down. Now it's time for me to glue these two together. As you can see here, this is mostly what's gonna look like. Then and after this, I'm gonna be working on my second project. So I'm gonna glue this part right now. Start working on my second project. Alright, after pinning the rough material to a smooth down surface and very flat, so I'm going, and these are about 19 by 5 inches boards. So in the second project I'm going to be making is basically a little box. So right now I'm going to be cutting down the width and the length for both sides, front and back. Then I'm going to use this material here, probably avoid this crack as you can see here, right here, as much as possible, and probably use this for the sides. And I might use this one for the top and this one for the bottom, trying to avoid using the cracks. As you can see here, don't really have much time for gluing this up because Valentine's Day is around the corner. So I'm gonna measure out the length and width on how the box is going to be. Then I'm going to my table saw, as you can see here, table, oops. basically right here. As you can see here, my table saw. Sorry, my table saw here. So I'm going to cut it on my table saw down to the size that I need. Yeah. So yeah, I measured it out and cut it to the table saw. So probably going to do this quick and have enough time so I can actually cut it and glue it together. So let's do this. Alright, I already cut everything down to the size that I need. This is 4.5 inches on width, about 5 inches in length. This is the same with the width, but the length is about 8 inches. So these two will be the front and back, and these will be the sides, and these two right here will be the top and bottom. I'm going to actually fill this hole, probably with wood filler, or maybe just a piece of wood, but I don't think I have round dowels for it, so I'm just thinking putting just wood filler on it. I have wood filler, so I'm going to do that right now. But yeah, I have everything I need for the box I have. I'm not going to do anything fancy by putting it together. I'm just going to basically do a box joint, so I'm not going to do a miter cut, like a 45-degree cut on the side, on the sides. So I'm just going to do a box joint just like this, as you can see here, just a box joint. So yeah, I'm going to do that. But then of course I'm going to fill up this hole here with wood filler. So yeah, project is almost done. Pretty excited. Let's get to it. Right after patching the hole with wood filler, now it's time to sand this whole thing before I start putting it together. So if I start putting it together, it will be difficult for me to sand it later, and kind of hard to get into the actual cracks in it. So I'm going to sand all these parts down to 120 to 200 grit. Instead of using my power sander, or not my power sander, my palm sander, I'm going to sand these by hand. So that way I can actually get a feel to it and get rid of these roughness. It's probably not gonna take too long. So then I'm gonna glue it together. But I'm gonna do differently. Instead of gluing it all together into one box, I'm gonna choose one of these two for the top, and then I'm going to I'm going to make a lid. So instead of having one box with hinges, I'm gonna have one with a box with the lid on it. So right now, hand sanding, then put it all together. So I'm almost done with this. Let's get to it. I already sanded the pieces down to 220 grit. Now it's time for the glue up. So, like I said, I'm going to do a box joint. I'm not going to do anything in the jointing. Just a box joint, just like this. So, like this, and like this. Then I'm going to be using this one as the bottom. This one, as you can see here, with the wood filler as the bottom. And I use this piece for the lid. So let's get to it. I made a big, not a big mistake, but I kind of made a mistake here. Um, Originally, as you can saw in my previous clips before, actually, the box became too wider when I accidentally glued on this side, glued like this, when in reality I should have done it like this. So that way this piece can actually fit on the top. But when I realized, when I lined this up, I'm left with this at least quarter inch, not quarter inch, probably half or 3/4 of an inch or one fourth of an inch piece here. I don't really know, but I'm left with this small piece here, and I'm thinking of just cutting both sides pieces just like this, then on my miter saw, then come back and glue everything together. So I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, after gluing everything together, cutting the sides to the right size that I need, now it's time for me to work on the lid. So let's get to it then. Alright, I have everything I need for the lid. I have this piece of scrap wood that I'm going to be using for the inside of the box. I already measure it, the width of the box. It's around 3 3/4. And then I'm going to take this piece of scrap wood here, and I'm going to cut just about an inch, so that way I can have something to lift up the lid. So that way I don't have to lift it up on the sides. I can just have something in the middle and just lift it up. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to use my miter saw. I'm just going to use my hand saw. And yeah, I'm almost done with this project. Then it's going to be then it's going to be the staining, and I'm going to show you how the two projects actually look. So let's do this. There, the lid is now done. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight, and hopefully it will actually fit. Alright, I already taken out all the clamps for this box, and I have the two heart shapes here. I'm gonna attach the hardware, which I'm gonna be using a sawtooth hangers. So you get this at your local hardware store, so it's not really that expensive. It's like around $2.50. But I really want to kind of show you a big mistake I made. I made the lid. I actually the lid does work fine, but when I put it in, all the way in, as you can see, it's around here. I accidentally miscalculated and did not actually attach this part on the right side. So honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm thinking of just measuring out here on how much material I can take out and glue a second piece here so that way it can be in there, so that way it can actually fit. So I might do that, and I'm also going to be sanding out the give it a little bit that sanding. As you can see here, there's still glue residue, dry glue residue from the glue up, so a bit more sanding to finish this box. But first I'm going to attach the hardware on these hearts on the back. Then I guess I'll just cut, or I'll figure out a way to make this fit. Then after me figuring out all that, I'm gonna go do the finish part of the project, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like at the end. So let's get to it. Alright, after putting the hardware on these hearts, I have decided to cut out one of the legs and just probably gonna do another re-glue to it, and then wait for about an hour or so that way the glue can set in. Then I'm gonna be adding the finish on both of the projects. I'll show you guys a bit of a close up on how they look like after I stain them. So I'm gonna do that right now and get this over with. Alright, after gluing the piece to the lid in the for the box, I'm gonna let that sit for about an hour or so. But now I'm gonna be starting the finishing steps here. I'm gonna be using my Feed in Wax wooden polishing conditioner. You can get this like at Home Depot. So yeah, I'm gonna put this right now. So then after this, I'm gonna finish up the box, and then I'll show you guys how it's gonna look all together. So let's do this.